If you're feeling like a fraud, if you're feeling like an imposter, if you're feeling like it's not going to work, then you might be onto something.
If you leave after 15 years working in one place and your whole identity is related to this place and you absolutely have no idea who you are outside of that, what are the first several things they should do to find a new path?
The first step is...
Today's guest is Seth Godin. He is a best-selling author, entrepreneur, and one of the most original thinkers of our time. He's the founder of Alt MBA, a transformative online workshop for leaders, and has been writing a daily blog for over a decade, sharing ideas that help people create real change. He also built and sold several companies, including Yoyodyne, acquired by Yahoo, and Squidoo, always staying at the edge of what's next. He's written 21 books that have shaped how we think about work, marketing, and leadership, including Purple Cow, The Dip, This is Marketing, and his latest, This is Strategy.
What do people get wrong about strategy? What are the common mistakes people do?
The biggest mistake is they think it's tactics. They think they can write down the steps. They think it's a plan, that if they do all the steps, it's going to work. It's none of those. It's a philosophy of becoming. It's how we decide what future we want to build. It's how we see the systems around us. And the systems don't want you to see them. And that's one of the reasons it's difficult.
How easy it was for you to go through so many transformations? What is your secret to change?
The first thing is...
All right, great. So I'm so happy to see you. And thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for taking the time. You know, I was always wondering, somebody like you who had such an interesting life. You've created companies, you sold companies, you were a little bit in corporate. You had like 21 best-selling book, which is amazing. What drives you today? What is your mission?
It's the same. It's always been the same. I'm a teacher. I like to solve interesting problems. I like to help people become who they want to become, try to make things better. And I like doing it in a way that has leverage and that's new. I don't do well in fenced-in areas.
I see. So you, as I said, 21 books for so many different topics. Why did you decide to write about strategy now?
I'm very lucky that I know a lot of good, committed, hardworking people. And I don't do any coaching, but I give free advice. And I kept coming up with the same problems over and over again. People kept defaulting to tactics and hustle and hard work, as opposed to figuring out what they should be doing in the first place. So I wrote this for that handful of people that I was spending time with. And I wasn't going to publish it, but after it got to 100 riffs, I was like, wow, I bet other people want to read this too. So there you go, a book.
Wow. It's always amazing to me how can somebody sit and write a book. I always want to write a book, but it seems such a huge task. How do you approach this?
I think you're missing the thing. Publishing a book is a huge task. Publishing a book is hard. Writing a book? Well, a book is nothing but one page after the other for hundreds of pages. Can you write one page? Everyone I know can write one page.
Totally.
So if you just write one page a bunch of times, now you have a book.
Amazing. So you wrote that, or you said that strategy is philosophy of becoming, which I like very much. And it's not just a plan. So for somebody who is listening at the moment and they wake up every morning, have to go to the job they don't like, and they're stuck and into identity, income, etc. So when is their becoming?
A career is an interesting thing. Careers are a pretty modern invention. We didn't have careers a couple hundred years ago. You had a job you did over and over again that your father had before you. Careers, if we are seduced by the system, we believe our job is to do what we're told. But your job is to figure out what's the arc of your career. You need to hire a boss, not find a boss to hire you. You need to figure out what assets are you building over time. What do you stand for? When people see you at a meeting, what do they expect from you? Because most people I know are pretty consistent. They've already decided what they're going to be like at work tomorrow, what they're going to be like in a memo that hasn't been written yet, what they're going to be like in a meeting or on stage. That decision should not be taken lightly, but we back into the decision instead of doing it on purpose.
And when you go back to when you began your career, so did you plan what you have today, or you went by the,
Plan is an interesting word. I certainly didn't expect that the world would line up exactly the way I needed it to with things like the internet. But from the very beginning, I was trying to establish a personal brand, an expectation, a promise that I might not always be right, but I might be able to contribute something interesting. And we might not always win, but you could count on me having good intent and offering people the benefit of the doubt. If I could show up that way persistently and consistently, and the downside is avoid or sabotage bureaucratic work that I didn't want to do, then I would get to do more of the stuff I wanted to do. So when I think about the jobs I took and the ones I didn't, when I think about the parts I focused on and the ones that I didn't, they were all part of this career arc. It wasn't a plan, but yeah, it's a strategy. A long time ago, after I sold my company to Yahoo, I was offered a chance to become head of marketing for a company Bill Gross was starting that was about to go public. And he offered me $1 billion in stock options. And I thought about it and then I declined. And the reason I declined is if I was willing to take $1 billion to give up a couple years of my life to work on something that wasn't my choice just for the money, then I knew what kind of person I was. Somebody who would always be willing to do that. And as soon as you decline something like that, the rest of your life gets really interesting because you say, I better be doing something worth more than $1 billion because I just turned down $1 billion in stock options. Now, it turns out his company didn't survive the bubble and my stock options would have been worth $0. But it was still a really useful lesson of understanding the optionality. Another smaller example, I wrote the book Permission Marketing, which invented the idea of email marketing. And the publishers wanted me to write the sequel, the handbook, the manual. People like MailChimp wanted me to join them. Well, if I had done that in 1999 or 2000, I'd be the email guy 25 years later. And not doing that opened the door for the things I wanted to do instead.
Great. Amazing to say no to $1 billion. That takes a lot of very clarity. It takes clarity. You know who you are. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I got one more as long as I'm sharing. When they left the United Kingdom and came to the United States, the people from Shark Tank asked me to audition to be the nasty judge. And I said, I don't want to be famous and I definitely don't want to be the nasty judge, but thank you anyway.
Totally. I can't imagine you as a nasty judge, honestly. So you're talking about clarity and choice, etc. But so many people wait for permission. And that really is what stops them. And they could have anything. And many people say, I don't have a choice. Well, they have a lot of choice. It's just not 100% of what they want. And they sit there and they just waste their life. So what do they do? What could they do differently?
Well, so I'm going to be talking about the practice and creativity, our event. And Pressfield's resistance is real. Resistance is anything that we do to ensure we don't put ourselves on the hook. That's where writer's block comes from. And there's enormous amounts of comfort that comes from boundaries. It feels like a foundation. It feels safe. And so when the world changes, as it's changing right now with AI, the boundaries go away. And so it's so easy to look at the thing that's unproven, to look at the areas that are open and say, no, I can't do that. I'm not allowed. And when we think about an escalator, when an escalator breaks, you can still walk down the stairs. But a lot of people won't. They get stuck on an escalator. And that stuckness is a choice. And we don't have to take it.
So, you said that strategy is about systems, time, games, and empathy. So can you go a little bit deeper into this? How can people use these 4 things?
Systems are like gravity. We don't see them, we don't notice them until they change or they're not there. The wedding industrial complex is a system. The system of podcasting is a system. the way men and women are treated differently in our culture is all a system. It's not based on anything. We just develop this interoperability and it's given. And if your strategy is fighting a powerful system, you better be prepared for it. If your strategy is dependent on a fading system, as so many people are right now, you better be prepared for that. Games are any situation where human beings have scarcity and choice. So people have a choice about what they're going to do. And that leaves empathy, which is realizing that other people have a choice. They don't have to believe what you believe. They don't have to want what you want. They don't have to see what you see. And the last one is time, because today is different than tomorrow, which is different than a week from now. So if you look at the world through a lens of it's exactly what it's going to be right now, it's going to change. And we have to decide, how will we become the person that we're going to thank in the future for what we did today?
So, Seth, you were saying that you have to create a strategy for the minimal viable audience. What does this mean, actually? Does it mean that you have to create the strategy just for you? Or what is it?
So the smallest viable audience is a very simple idea that makes people uncomfortable until they start using it. And it simply means you get to pick who it's for. You can pick anybody in the world you want. Is 100 people enough? Is 1,000 people enough? Maybe everyone will love your idea. I don't care. But what's the smallest number that if they loved it, it would be enough? Then, since you get to pick them, you get to decide what it is you're going to make. And if you make something for them and they don't like it, don't go racing for more people. Make something better.
All right. That was sharp and to the point. Very nice. So many people say when they think about leaving a job, they say, oh, I can't leave. I mean, I can't afford to leave. There's so many constraints. So how do we stop seeing constraints in everything and start seeing the opportunity?
Well, it might be interesting to reframe it as you can't afford to stay, because every day you're staying is costing you a lot. The first step is figuring out how to find the freedom, because you didn't get dealt all the good cards. You didn't have all the privilege. You don't have all the opportunity. You have a family, you have bills to pay, so you feel stuck. They want you to feel that way so that you're not eager to go somewhere where you will be able to be more productive. So the first step is to dramatically lower your costs, to figure out how to make it so, instead of having Wi-Fi and cable and streaming, you figure out how to get it from the library. Instead of living in a place that you deserve, that's super nice, you downsize. Instead of eating out, you have rice and beans. If you do that, you'll go from being in debt to being able to save money. And if you can save money, then you can have the freedom to go to the next place. And it's not easy. And most people don't have all the good luck I had. I totally understand this. But you're probably not as trapped as you think you are.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I can vouch for that because I felt the same way 4 years ago when I left my corporate job after 25 years. So I exactly felt like this, that I can never leave. But there I am 4 years later and 200 episodes later of my podcast. So you also written, because I read quite a lot of your books, you've written that if the system is rigged for mediocrity, no matter how brilliant you are, nothing is going to change. So the question here is, how do people actually understand that that's the case? How do they know this is the right moment to leave?
Well, there is no right moment to leave. And what I mean by the system being rigged is mediocrity means average. And systems that stick around because they're good at sticking around. That the system feeds itself. The system protects itself. And when something causes it to change, it doesn't want to change, but something forces it to change, like technology, like the climate. So when a system is under stress, we have an opportunity to show up and play by new rules. That is the best moment to, quote, leave. That is the best moment to show up and take advantage, because in this moment, the old system is changing and someone like you can get what you deserve.
So for somebody who is listening and thinking, okay, I have to leave and I want to learn what is the strategy I have to do, what is your advice? What is the first 3 actionable steps they can take tonight after they watch this?
The first thing is, don't quit your day job. It feels very satisfying to go in a huff and do that. What I propose instead is evenings and weekends, go build something. Create value for someone. If you can create value that's enough for someone to pay for, you'll get to do it again. And after you've done it and done it and done it, now leaving your old place makes much more sense. So don't quit everything and start a restaurant. Instead, run a pop-up for lunch on Sundays and see if you can get 20 people to come who want to come back, right? Over time, you earn a reputation, you earn deal flow, you earn permission, and then leaving becomes a lot easier.
And if you leave after 15 years working in one place and your whole identity is related to this place and you absolutely have no idea who you are outside of that, how do you start picking the pieces and create that new person?
Well, as we just said, I don't think you should leave when you have no identity. You should go build an identity while you're still there. You should matter by organizing a community, by building a reputation outside of the place where you're working. And it feels difficult or impossible. But I'm not saying do it all at once or in a very big way. Step by step. That's the only way we get anywhere, bit by bit.
What do people get wrong about strategy? What are the common mistakes people do?
The biggest mistake is they think it's tactics. They think they can write down the steps. They think it's a plan, that if they do all the steps, it's going to work. It's none of those things. It's a philosophy of becoming. It's how we decide what future we want to build. It's how we see the systems around us. And the systems don't want you to see them. And that's one of the reasons it's difficult.
So you've been very much about thinking about education and different ways for people to get educated. The moment we are in, there is so much information online, people can learn about everything. What is the best approach to do it, especially to get the new trends? How to know what to learn? Because so much information out there. What exactly you have to learn?
Well, Ani, there's a lot of information, but that doesn't mean there's a lot of learning. Learning is
true. Yeah.
Is voluntary. Learning is difficult. Learning is, how do I lean in enough to change my mind? So everything is there for free. You don't have to get picked by Harvard. You have to get picked by yourself. You have to choose to decide to change your mind.
Well, how do you do that? How do you choose to decide? It's very easy to say it, but in practice, how you do it?
How do you run a marathon?
You train and you do it.
No one who decides to run a marathon can run a marathon right away. First, you decide you want to run a marathon, then you run 10 yards or 100 yards. Well, the same thing is true of everything we're talking about. If someone came to this podcast hoping for a magic trick and a shortcut, I don't have one, and neither do you.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is absolutely hard work. What about personal brand and creating your image on social media and in the digital space? A lot of people say, personal brand, that's not for me.
What do you think a personal brand is?
Well, who you are, basically, and how people should perceive you, understand you, accept you.
I guess. I think it's not a logo. It's not a pair of glasses or a brightly colored blouse. It's the promise we make. It's the expectation people have for how we're going to show up. So everyone has a brand already. The question is, are you going to do an intentional one? Are you going to show up in a way consistently that you're proud of? That is a choice. I don't think working for free for Mark Zuckerberg or for LinkedIn is important or is essential or is the key to your brand. The question is, when people talk about you, what do they say?
Interesting you said that. There's so many people who it's just a facade, and behind the facade, you're a completely different thing, but you project something on the outside. How easy it is? How easy it was for you to go through so many transformations? What is your secret sauce? What is your secret to change so often? People don't like change.
There's no secret. I'm sorry, there isn't. It's simply deciding that the things that other people think of as change are not change at all. I haven't changed. I just have different tactics on the same journey. And, it's not traumatic to change your radio station. In the morning, you're listening to classical music, and at night, you're listening to rock. But there's a radio and you have buttons. That's not traumatic. If you think you have to be, quote, authentic and do whatever feels like you in every given moment, that will feel traumatic because you'll feel like you're a fraud. Instead, we're all performing if we're professionals. We make a promise and we keep it. So what is the promise you want to make? Go do that.
For the young people out there who are just starting their path, what would you give them as advice? If you are now in your 20s, what would you do?
Well, the good news is if you're just starting out, you got nothing to lose. So you don't have to be on defense. You'll have plenty of time later to be on defense. And the second thing I would do is I would figure out how to become the best in the world at something. Right now, there's so many ways you can become the best in the world at all these new tech things because no one else knows how to use them either. So if you become the best in the world at something, people will find you, people will seek you out, and then you can create value. Don't wait to get picked. Don't wait for permission.
What were some periods of your life when it was very difficult for you? It was like you said, well, I can't stand this anymore. And how did you go through it?
If I'm doing my best work, that's what it feels like. Because we're trying to do something that's difficult. We're trying to solve an interesting problem. We're doing things that might not work. When it's easy, then I'm coasting. And it's tempting to coast as I get older. But if you're feeling like a fraud, if you're feeling like an imposter, if you're feeling like it's not going to work, then you might be onto something.
And how do you cultivate this thing, this curiosity in you day in and day out? So many years. That the people who actually give up, they get to some age, they get comfortable and they give up. How to avoid that?
Well, but we keep talking about the same thing, which is, are you willing to do the work or not? I'm not saying it's easy or convenient or fun. I'm saying this is the work. If you want to do this work, go do the work. If you don't, then don't complain when it doesn't turn out the way you hope. It's a choice.
When somebody leaves the environment they're accustomed to, what are the first several things they should do to find a new path? If they're just stuck and they wonder what to do.
Well, so as we wrap this up, I think we need to keep coming back to the same thing. The way a toddler learns how to walk is by toddling and falling and toddling and falling, and then they know how to walk. So when you're starting on a new path, please don't say it's the new path. It's a new path. And it's not well lit, and it doesn't come with a guarantee. But is there one step you can take to create value for one person? If you can actually create value for other people, you get to do it again. If you do it enough times, now you have a path.
All right. So we are almost at time. Thank you so much for your time and for allowing me to complete this. Very much appreciated.
Well, thank you for leading. Thank you for showing up the way you do. There's a lot of important work to be done, and we need people who can navigate it and help us get to where we need to go. So yeah. I appreciate it.
Totally.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please hit subscribe to the show and leave a review or comment about how you find this episode.